Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular town council meeting on Wednesday, October 16th, 7 p.m. in the green room. Will you please stand and join Dennis in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2, are there any visitors who wish to speak? Visitors? No? All right. Item number 3, the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve October 2nd, 2024's minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Item number 4, appointments. We'll begin the evening's appointments with William Fritz to the Park and Recreation Commission for a term until 6/30/2025. Evening, Willie. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm sure we'd all like to know why you would like to join Parks and Rec.
Well, I've been involved with the town for a long time. My previous tenure with the town from 2005 to 2017, first selectman, board of selectmen. We did a lot of projects that involved park and rec work. I got grants to help with the town beach improvements, the Peters Complex improvements. I'm the one that actually got the turf field put in at the Indian River Complex after Park and Rec had a committee that said that we didn't need one. And I've done stuff since, helping Bo and helping the Park and Rec Commission with things that needed to get done from behind the scenes. I helped with the Harry Swan Pavilion. I got a Boreal, who I work for now, who donate the work to pour the slab. I got this concrete donated. I got the reinforcing steel donated. I have been continuing to do it, and I'm still involved actively with sports in town. So I think it's a good fit. I think I could help Bo and the Park and Rec Commission with some budgetary stuff, because I've had experience with that. Maybe help look for some grants to help get money into the department to get more improvements done, and obviously with the maintenance of facilities, that's a huge thing. So you got to come up with a plan, and I'm not sure that, I know they go out and look, I read the minutes, but I'm not sure there's actually a plan on how they're going to continue and maintain facilities throughout the year, so that's why I would like to get on.
Anyone else have any questions?
Just make one comment. I've worked with that man for 15, 20 years, and that's the best fit I could think of for Park Rec.
Except he's a Met fan, don't forget.
Well, I was gonna bring that up. For the next couple of days, against the Mets against my Dodgers, yes.
All right.
We'll have to go to war, but then, other than that, there's no doubt that Willie Fritz is the great, the best pick for that commission. No doubt about it.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you. So is there a
Make
motion?
that we appoint William Fritz to the Park and Recreation Commission for a term until 6/30/25.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. You have to swear?
We won't, but if at your convenience, you'll go see Sharon, that would be
Yeah.
great. All right, thank you very much. Second, Walter Bo Clark for Planning and Zoning from an alternate seat to a full seat until 11/2025.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right. Any discussion?
Yeah, I was excited to see that you were stepping up to the full seat. You've been an encyclopedia of knowledge on that council, so thank you so much for taking up at that point.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And again.
Get to a meeting.
Again, Bo.
Take care.
Third on the agenda for appointments is Robert Corson to Planning and Zoning, an alternate seat until 11/2025. Are there any questions for Robert? No?
What's that?
Robert would like to be appointed to Planning and Zoning, an alternate seat, and I'm asking if there are any questions.
Well, I think, isn't he already a alternate?
Not yet. He hopes to be an alternate.
He's going
What's
to
he
the
on
alternate.
now?
He's on
Inland
inland
wetlands.
wetlands.
Oh, you're on inland wetland now, bud?
Yeah.
I was on zoning board of appeals. I just stepped out to come onto this board.
He's on Blight.
Any particular reason why you want to switch fields?
Yes, it's a very important commission. It helps develop our town. Zoning board of appeals, I haven't missed a meeting. Inland wetlands, I'm very committed to this town, and I really would like to prove to you that. Step
Mike,
up.
Bob.
I just want to bring one thing up before the discussion, and that is, just for your information, putting Bob onto planning and zoning would have 4 of the same people on planning and zoning and inland wetlands, and I just think that that needs to be mentioned. As it stands now, Mike Florio and Eddie Alberino and Lawrence Edwards are on both. And, yes, and Bob would be the 4th of that grouping on both inland wetlands and planning and zoning. And I felt it needed to be mentioned. So let's go to a motion. We can discuss it if we need to.
Like, why would that be an issue, I guess?
I'm bringing it up because it seems like a bit of a block. It seems like a large number of people on 2 very important commissions.
What do you mean by block?
Well, a group of people who work together on 2 very important. And I just thought I'd bring it up.
I'll make a motion to approve Bob Corson for the alternate seat to 11/20/25.
Okay?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations. And you know to be...
Yes, to go this one, we should.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, next is Angela Paradis to the Beautification Committee for a term until 6/30/2026. Is it Angela's here? How are you?
Good, thank you.
Angela, could you tell us why you're interested in joining beautification?
So I've been a resident of Clinton for about 26 years, and I would like to be a part of this committee because I feel as though having gardens in our community just makes it a desirable place to live for our residents and for the people that are coming through our town. I mean, wouldn't it just be lovely for them to say, oh, what a gorgeous town? And I think gardens bring that to people.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions for Angela?
That was a good reason.
Yeah, it is a good reason. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Congratulations. At your convenience, would you go see our town clerk to be sworn in? Not now necessarily, but another day. Okay, thank you very much. Next is Tammy Kogar to the Human Services Advisory Committee for a term until 6/30/2027. Tammy, welcome. How are you?
Hi.
Hey.
My name is Tammy Kogar. I've been a resident for about 28 years. I'm a retired nurse. In my nursing career, I've dealt with hospice, pediatrics, adults, and home, as well as elderly and disability patients for home care. I've been a sexual assault crisis counselor, and I've also worked with emotionally troubled youths. I myself am autistic. My daughter is disabled and part of the LGBTQ community. I think I got that right. My best friend, whose son that I helped raise, is a first-generation Indian immigrant, and I stood by her through all of her swearing in to become a U.S. citizen. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is that I really feel like my experience with all of the things that I've done through my nursing career and also just through my experience of living life with other people will be a good fit for the town and for the Human Services Advisory Committee. And I do a lot on my own, and I would like to be just able to affect and have a voice in helping more people in other ways.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for Tammy? Oh, sorry. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations. If you'd be sworn in when you can.
Okay,
All right.
Welcome aboard.
thank you.
And finally, Josephine Simon is a proposed student member to the Human Rights Committee, and I imagine Tom is here to speak on her behalf.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm Tom Schultz, Chair of the Human Rights Committee. I'm here on behalf of Josephine Simon, who's outstanding senior at Morgan. She's actually been part of the Social Justice Club, which is kind of like the Human Rights Committee for Morgan, and she's a tremendous student, and she's been really a key part of that group since its inception, so I'm glad she decided to step up and apply for this position. So ask you to approve her for this 1 year, her senior year. So thank you.
Thank you. So is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? She's in. Congratulate her for us.
I'll have her
Sworn in. Yep.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so that concludes the appointments, and now we're on to number 5, the fire department donation request. Did everyone get a chance to read the letter from Michelle in your packet? Okay, so is there a motion to allow the fire department to donate their 1998 Spartan fire truck to communities impacted by the recent hurricanes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Great. Number 6, project graduation exemption request to ordinance 194-4A and 194-5A for the November 9th, 2024 fundraiser Drag Queen Bingo. Is there anyone here to speak to that? Great, all right. Hey, very well, thank you. And what is your name? I'm sorry.
My name is Meredith Farr. Thank you, thanks for having me. I wrote something. That's okay? Okay. So I said, my name is Meredith Farr. I serve on the committee for Project Graduation 2025 at the Morgan School. This fundraiser aims to provide our seniors with an unforgettable, safe, and fun-filled night after graduation. For those of you who may not be familiar, after the ceremony, we whisk the students away to a surprise destination where they enjoy a variety of activities such as games, food trucks, ice skating, go-karts, and more. It's such a well-kept secret that even the committee chairperson hasn't revealed this year's location. I don't even know where they're going. Last year, we held our inaugural Drag Queen Bingo event, which was a resounding success. We raised over $7,700, making one of our most profitable fundraisers. We have to raise over $35,000 in order to make this happen. This year I reserved the green room. To ensure a more enjoyable experience, I'll be capping the attendance at 180 people, and I request permission to make this a BYOB event. And thank you for your ongoing support for the class of 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is there a motion to approve project graduation's exemption request to ordinance 194-4A and 194-5A for their November 9th, 2024 fundraiser?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Project graduation's a lot of work. Thank you for taking that up.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Item number 7, Finance Director Report.
Yes, hi, good evening. You should have the report in front of you. The revenue and expenditure statements are attached. A little bit too early to predict any, I wouldn't say shortfalls, but savings on the expenditure side. We can surely say that on the income side, investment should exceed budget by about $750,000. You can see in the investment report, and we expect this, that the investment rates are decreasing slightly. Went from 5.43 to 5.02%, and as of October 9th, it was 5.01%, but I still expect our budget to exceed it by $750,000. This month, I did put a general fund balance estimate using the estimate we did for June 30th, 2024, the unaudited amount of close to $16 million, which is 25% of the 24-25 budget. I'm estimating, it's really early, but I'm estimating at June 30th, 2025, we should have an unassigned fund balance of close to $13 million, which brings the percent of total budget down to 20%. Now, this is assuming the use of fund balance in the 25-26 budget of $4 million, which is close to what we used in the budget we're presently at. This is just for discussion purposes. We don't necessarily...
You just randomly pick that number?
It kind of fits in. We're trying, yes, correct, for discussion purposes.
If I may comment, I was gonna wait, but, Christopher started it off. I sort of resent that fact about having that $4 million there is for discussion purposes. That's almost like am I automatically saying to the public or anybody else that comes drifting by that we'll probably spend another $4 million out of the undesignated this year. We've never done that before, and I don't like that assumption. Let's wait until next year and find out about just how things are going. We only may spend $1 million, or maybe nothing. But if you put it in people's minds that, geez, they got $4 million out there, believe me, people start marching in that door with all kinds of things. We've never done this, and I would rather just have that $4 million show up like it should be in the undesignated file without any things attached to it saying, well, anyways, you get my point.
So
That's my comment.
if you put the $4 million back in the undesignated fund balance and didn't assume you were going to use it, then the balance wouldn't be 20%, it'd be higher, it'd be closer to 25.
The balance, yes, right.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So you really can't, without mentioning some estimate of use of fund balance, you can't really do an estimate of fund balance.
Well, I mean, you can't just assume a certain number when you're going into a budget and you're doing a budget. And at the end of our discussions related to the budget, this goes on every year, we always talk about how much of the undesignated we're going to use.
Right.
What we're going to take for CIP, what we're going to use for undesignated, we want to buy down the mill rate, we want to do this, we want to do that. What is the number? Like, there's a lot of assumptions, but right now, what would our undesignated fund balance be? Over and above the 15% that we're required to have by the bonding agencies. Do we have that number?
So you just
25.
add the 4 to the 12.8.
Right.
Right.
So what you're saying is we have $16 million?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
And all I'm saying is, since I've been here, my impression was that it was a policy to gradually reduce fund balance.
No policy.
No, there is no policy like that.
The only policy of it is it's 15%. That's the only policy. Yeah.
Right. But that's not a policy. That's not a policy in this town. The 15% holdback of our of our fund balance is related to the bonding agencies. We got in trouble a few years ago because we went under that number and our bonding went to crap. So now we got it back to that 15%. So that's not the town saying we need 15%. That is such a, we go through this every budget season about how we're setting all this money aside and we're not using it. It has nothing to do with the town. It has to do with the bonding agencies that tell us in order to maintain our current bond rating of AA, we need a 15% holdback. And should we go under that, it has an enormous effect on everything. I mean, down at the bottom here, I see that we're a bond plan, which I know nothing about apparently, but there's some sort of bond plan for $2 million in January of 2025. Should our bond rating go below 15%, that's going to have a negative effect on our debt service. It's going to have a negative effect on the amount that we pay every month for these for the bonds that we have. So it ultimately has a huge impact. And I think that's the misperception that we always put out in this town is that, it's our policy that we need it to be at 15%. And that's not true. The policy is that the bonding agencies would like to see us at that. When we changed bonding agencies 4 years ago, that's what their requirement for us was to be. So, and again, this usage of undesignated fund balance, we talk about every budget season. And at some point, it's going to cost us because we can't continue to just use our undesignated fund balance to buy down the mill rate in order to have an improvement in reduced taxes. So, it's obviously another discussion for this budget season, but.
Yeah, and I think I've said that you have to be very careful when you use fund balance. The first thing when you get here, when you're new as a finance director, you have to look for policies. What are the policies? I'm used to policies being posted on the website. They're not. But I did find a fund balance policy in my file, and I guess I'll have to, present it to the council. I can only go by what's given to me. I do have a fund balance policy. I think it's dated, approved by a council, I don't know, I think it goes back to 2023, 22.
That would have been a discussion that we had about taking money from an undesignated fund balance and setting up allocations to different, I think, buckets.
Right.
So that's what we came up with.
I'm willing to go by any policy, the policy that I have in my hands, and it's an actual written document with an approved date on it.
But there's no policy written that we would assume from year to year that we're going to spend the same number that we spent last year.
No.
Okay.
The policy.
So, because we spent $4 million last year, which we did because we had to. There was a need to. We had some outstanding things we had to do and boost up capital expenditures and all. But that doesn't assume, or I think it's a very bad thing to throw out there that, we're automatically always going to just take $4 million out of our undesignated. We keep taking $4 million out of an undesignated. It won't be long that we won't have an undesignated.
That's why I was very careful in putting for discussion purposes only.
If your idea was to promote discussion, good job.
You have to. I think last meeting, it was requested that there be a estimate for fund balance at the end of this year, and for.
No, I've never asked for how do we know what's going to happen next June? We have no idea. We could have, God forbid, a hurricane here in 2 months from now, and we'll blow quite a bit of money like we did years ago on fixing things up before FEMA even came in the door. So to assume, and that's a very bad word to use, that in 6/30/25 we're going to have a fund balance of $12 million because we may or may not be spending $4 million. I think that's just not right to even have that.
The good news
application in writing.
The good news in the picture is that even if you spend the $4 million, you still got 20%. I'm not suggesting you should spend the $4 million, and I don't want. But you got to pick a number. So you're saying you should pick the number 0.
The number should be 0.
Yeah.
When you go into a budget, season, the number should be 0. It shouldn't be that we're going to estimate or assume any use of any fund balance.
And I
think your policy that you said, the council we approved a policy, and our policy was related to undesignated fund balance, where we were going to take a certain amount of money and allocate it to individual buckets that we could use for capital improvement projects. Right. That was the policy that we knew.
And we're going to have meetings later this fall.
Right, that's what we talked about the last time.
Right, I'll be happy to admit it.
Thank you.
And I think maybe, one of the things you might have heard, I think there's been a little bit with the unassigned fund balance, exactly what goes into that and what comes out has been a little bit of a mystery. And I think that's really to understand, sort of the running total, what's happening, what's going out, why is it higher than we thought it was going to be, why is it lower than we thought it was going to be. Just a little bit more transparency there. Not necessarily an estimate, but just a idea of what's happening with that as the year goes by.
I think when we get to our workshops on the undesignated fund balance, we can eliminate a lot of the noise conversations around it and really just focus in on what future use is going to be and how it is we're going to set that aside, and maybe set a policy around it so we can then not talk about it every single meeting, and then just have an understanding of where we're at every single meeting and move forward from there.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. Contingency account is, for the most part, untouched, except for one small item. On page 15, there's a report on ARPA funds and their available balances. We have to obviously look at that very carefully because the time is December 31st is fastly approaching. We have looked at those available balances. Parks and Rec balances will be spent. The Public Works balances, the payload has already been received. We've got the invoice that will be paid. The mower attachment will be received this week. Harbor improvements will be contractual. We're looking at the behavioral health balance of $89,000. I've been talking to the Human Services Department head. We're hoping to have contracts committed. We'll know by November 1st on that. Housing utility assistance, even though we see a $56,000 balance, winter's coming, and they certainly can use the utility assistance, the fuel, heating oil for certain families. So we're keeping a close eye on the balances. Any amount that we deem that will not be spent by or contracted by December 31st will quickly come to the town council early November to request other expenditures to make sure everything on this.
So they don't need to be expended, but they need to be committed.
They have to be committed as in contractual, really.
And so the ones that you mentioned that have larger balances on page 15 all the way to the right, available balance. Behavioral health's got about 90 grand. Housing utility, you said 56, I see that. How about wastewater site?
That's a contract.
Is that, you got a contract for that, so we're good? Okay. And then how about Public Works, PAYL?
The payload is received, so we just, that's received, we're going to be, that invoice is going to be paid this month.
I missed, sorry, I didn't catch what you said about the harbor improvement, 100 grand?
Yeah, harbor improvements are in process, and they're planned to be committed by December 31st.
I know it's kind of like waving, looking at a crystal ball. Is there anything that stands out to you that maybe they won't hit their target, Bob?
I'm just careful about the second one, behavioral health.
Yeah, I am too.
If you look at the past, we have been spending. There have been a lot of people asking for help, and they've been receiving help. And we do have a new director, and she's, quickly learning about this area. So that's the one that we're going to be keeping our eye on.
Yeah, because, if we can't, maybe at last minute, we can give it to somebody else so that it doesn't get wasted. Well, not wasted, but sent back to the government,
Right, I know there are some last minute items that
That's the only one that really, that's the one that stands out to me too, Bob.
Right.
The utilities, how much has been spent over the past 3 years?
I don't have that with me tonight. The last report had, I think, 3 years' worth of expenditures, but the season's coming, the cold weather's coming, that goes very quick. We do have some items that's listed that if these items aren't spent, we've got some items that can be approved and quickly spent. And
No, I don't want to interrupt you, but maybe I could ask Christopher. I see one there's going to be a balance left to pickleball 24/6. Have they done everything they have to do with pickleball? Or is that going to be an extra 24 hanging around, Chris?
No, I think, and I don't know if you were part of the meeting, but I think Park and Rec, Bo and the subcommittee met with Michelle, and they call it, they have a little extra in each project, and I think that's part of it. And they're gonna figure out what to spend it on, but I didn't hear what they, like benches, speakers, like.
it's related to the projects.
Related to the project, but,
So you think it'll be
I
going?
think it'll all be spent.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good.
And that's all I have tonight.
Do you want to talk about the bond?
I just mentioned the bond because we've had a bond anticipation note, and that's due to mature in January, and typically you're anticipating a bond issue.
So we're not issuing a new bond, it's just a rollover
It's not a
bond that
new
already
bond,
exists?
it's a rollover note. And really, that's the only thing I see in the foreseeable future that needs bonding that's on the books right now. I think I can surely, in the next meeting, present a debt forecast schedule showing you the debt that we currently have, and when this $2 million is bonded, what the annual debt service amounts will look like over the next 10 years.
It's not necessarily bonded, it's a rollover of a current.
It's a rollover of a bond anticipation note, so a short-term borrowing. We've been paying the interest each year, but it's a type of vehicle where it has to be bonded.
So it's a balloon, so you'd either pay it off or you got to rebond it?
Correct.
And what was the interest rate on the old one, and what's the new interest rate?
I can present that to you.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
It should be, the bond interest rates are getting better, so.
Any other questions for Bob?
No, thank you, Bob.
Okay, yep, thank you. Number 8, the chairman's report. So voting begins next Monday, and I understand that there's been sort of confusion in the community. It's not surprising it's confusion because it's the first time we have early voting. But I was thankful that the Registrar of Voters addressed that on the website. And then I saw another announcement, a legal notice from Sharon today. Michelle isn't with us today, but she'll be back at the next meeting. And I believe that's it. Yes.
Just a slight comment, what you were saying about the early voting. It's funny because several people called me and asked me about, they didn't get their proxy vote in the mail yet. So my wife called down to the town hall today to find out what's going on. So just so the public gets an idea, our town, or our people are doing their job and have done their job. They've sent all the names. I didn't realize it, and I don't know if anybody else did, but they send all the names to Hartford, and Hartford actually mails the absentee ballot to the home. Not our people here in the town. Our town sends the list to Hartford, and Hartford, whoever up in Hartford is, somebody, they mail out the forms. So just so the public knows, if they haven't gotten theirs yet, the word is that we probably, in all good things, they'll be out in the mail sometime this week, from what Sharon said today. And that hopefully, hopefully they'll be in to the people's hands. But just so, like a little notice to the public that, it's really not our people that are holding things up and haven't mailed them out to the hands of somebody else other than ours.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Council discussion? Anyone?
I have something that, this could go in this or the liaison report, but just want to bring this up to the council for your awareness. And I want to start by saying, I don't think anybody did anything wrong. There's nobody to blame here. It's just an evolving situation that I think we, as the council, should be on top of. So we all know with the pickleball court, we did a whole bunch of studies, the Park and Rec Commission, and we just couldn't find the appropriate spot for many different reasons, and we eventually settled on the basketball court. Well, the Park and Rec Commission actually has a policy that says we'll never really take away a resource for the town to put another thing in there, but and there was as we know, there was a lot of people who did not want us to take away the basketball court for the pickleball courts, but that's what happened. And actually, I think it was a good decision. I've been down there all the time for practice. 9 o'clock at night, pickleball, it's always being used. So I think that was the right decision. But I know that the town, the people thought is we said to them, don't worry, we're taking away this basketball court, but we're going to put another basketball court down at the beach. And so people are sort of waiting for that basketball court. Well, again, nobody's fault. The Park and Rec Commission wanted to put a nice basketball court down at the beach, started down that road, and I don't know if it's town or state, but they can't fit it where they want to put it. It's a tight spot there. It's too close to the river. They need to have porous spots. So what I'm witnessing is this basketball court keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So now it's like just a square with one basket. So it's not what everybody's anticipating. And people are starting to find out about it now. I see probably 5 emails a week that are sent to Bo and CC to the Park and Rec Commission. People are starting to get upset about it. So what I said to Bo and the Park and Rec Commission is, let's not waste our money. I know the money's been allocated to the beach, and the money, there was $55,000 the first time and another $250,000. That money has to be used at the beach, but we shouldn't just plow forward with a project that isn't what anybody wants. It's not what the Park and Rec Commission, it's not what Bo wants, it's not what anybody wants. I think we should take a step back and just give it a rest and explore some other possibilities. And one of them is find a different spot at the beach. Like, what about behind the pavilion? And I asked Bo about that, on Friday of last week, and he said, well, there'd have to be another study to see how close that is to the river and all that stuff. And I said, all right, fine, we got all this money, and we want to do something down here. Let's do a study if we have to. Although, I'm really negative on these studies because it seems like we do these studies. Isn't that what we should have been able to find out that the current site's not going to work if we did a study? But I digress. If we have to do a study, find a different spot at the beach. That's option number one. Option one is to continue on and end up with a nightmare in about 6 months. We're sitting here with a room full of people complaining about the postage stamp with one basket. Option two is to find a different spot at the beach. I think that's our best option. And then option three is do something different with the money at the beach, and then, maybe look at putting a basketball court somewhere else in a future budget session. But I don't have the solution, and I'm not blaming anybody. I just want us as a council to all be aware of this sort of freight train that's going in the wrong direction right now.
Good info.
Yeah. So think about it, and we'll see where we go over the next month or so.
Hank, ADC?
Yeah, so Dale Croup met with EDC. We had our first meeting October, second Tuesday of October, and he attended. And we have this business outreach that we've talked about a couple of times, and we finally started talking to the businesses. There's 42 businesses between Grove Street and the river here, river there. And so we divided it by four of us in the EDC to go reach out to these businesses. So we've got about 10 or 11 businesses to reach out to get feedback as to what they think needs to happen downtown. It's not, EDC's not focused just on downtown. That's just the first bite. We'll go back for more business later. We've been talking with Paul Orsini in the chamber. So Dale Croup came to the meeting. He first has to get the lay of the land and understand where we are before he can help us figure out where we're going. And so that's what he's doing. He's getting a lot of background. He learned a lot from us. He said a lot of things that he knows what he's talking about. I was impressed
So I think John Allen was too. So in November, we're going to meet again. He'll have a summarization of where he thinks we are and some recommendations as to where we ought to go. And then in December, we're going to come to the town council, and the EDC will come to the town council and present where we are and what we're going to do. And then it's important to go back to the businesses. The businesses are given input as to what they think we ought to do. And they actually had some pretty unique ideas. One guy recommended maybe making Daniel Vies a one-way. I mean, creative ideas, not necessarily we're going to do them, but they're thinking out of the box like we'd hoped they would. And so we'll get that, we'll put it into a report, we'll submit it, and then we'll figure out where we go from there. And then we'll go back to the businesses and let them know what we intend to do in 2025. That's where that is.
Anyone else? We're on liaison reports, it turns out.
Sorry.
It's good.
The police commission won't have their meeting till next week, so I'll report next time.
Okay.
Planning and zoning was last Monday, but they moved the public hearing on Pearson to right now in the Rose Room, so I'll have something for our next meeting.
Is that it?
The only other thing from Park and Rec is that the football stadium had a speaker issue, and it was breaking in and out, and so I guess they had an electrician there last week, and it's fixed, so. The voice of Morgan, so we can hear him.
They got one more home game, I guess, the 15th.
Yeah.
At home there, they have one in Old Saybrook.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.